So, a lot of drama just happened in the last 2 days. I'm wearing my The More You Pwn t-shirt that the Frugal Gamer bought me a couple years back. Pwnage, it's a word it's dated kind of like groovy and retarded and yeah, radical. So I wanted to talk about something slightly off topic from the plagiarism and whatnot that's been talked about in the wake of this drama. What I primarily want to talk about in this ramble is news regurgitation, and I've used this term a bit. First, I'll talk about the plagiarism thing. Just watched the Drunken Peasants podcast that happened after me adding Hidai Moya's plagiarized comments that Jaclyn Glenn used, and they didn't take that into consideration with their interview. But I did think that the Amazing Atheist did take her to task and was more than just smacking her wrists. I would feel like shit in her place. And then after that podcast went up on YouTube, I posted the one from Dorothy Freeman, and that won't be the end of it. I am sure. So yeah, I have a bias against news regurgitators, and I consider Jaclyn Glenn to be one of them. And I was watching a video by Jenny McDermott, where, of course, she's saying that this has to do with sexism. She's female, and we haven't been able to shut her up and whatnot. And no. My bias is against people who regurgitate the news. People who feel like they must put out a video daily, and in order to find out what they're going to talk about, they look for whatever is trending. That's what I have a bias against. I don't feel like I do this on my channel. In fact, I make these ramble videos that are very long, and I am very cognizant of the radio-friendly edit. Making a video that's like 3 minutes and 30 seconds long, or as close as you can get it, in order to increase your view traffic. I am very cognizant of that. I'm not worried about it. Okay? That's not me. Okay? That destroys the quality of the content that I'm making, so I don't do it. Even though I know I'd get more views and I'd get more subscribers, I just don't do it. But there's a formula, and these news regurgitators, they are very formulaic. You'll often see their videos be under 10 minutes, under 5 minutes, you know, trying to stay with the attention span of their demographic they're targeting. And I just don't like it. It's like, I see the formula, I see how to succeed, and yet it's a bad taste in my mouth. And it lends itself to the feeling like everyone might be plagiarizing each other. Like you've seen the first person to talk about it, and you're like, oh, well, you're just talking about it because they're talking about it. And when I bring something up on my channel, and I hardly ever go the same way as everyone else, and I see someone repeat something that I said, then I feel even worse in this climate of news regurgitation all the time. I'm like, I know where you got that. You were watching my video, and you're talking about it now without attributing me as your inspiration, saying some of the same things. And ironically, Jaclyn Glenn just got called out on the DP podcast, and the DP podcast I have just recently accused of mining other people's channels for content for their podcast. At least they might say the channel that they're getting from if they don't link it in the description box. But if you're watching it on YouTube rather than listening to the podcast, you have a better idea of maybe who it was or how to find their content. This is going to be even worse for Jaclyn Glenn, because in that DP podcast, she said that, you know, she hadn't done this before and she just was getting lazy just recently. But the instances that I brought up, two of them earlier today, they were from 2013, and it's not the only times that she's been caught. Check out the Skeptic blog, which will probably be full of schadenfreude in the next few days. So news regurgitation. Let me tell you what it looks like. If you go to the atheism subreddit on reddit.com, and you look at whatever is trending with like 1,000 up thumbs on it, on that subreddit, and then you look at your subscriptions, and you see in your subscription feed who is talking about one of those topics that it's on the atheism subreddit, or say YouTube trends, or sorry, Yahoo trends, right? You log into Yahoo and it shows the top 10 search things for the day. Look for which of your subscribers are talking about those things. And then do it the next day, and the next day, and the next day, and you'll start to see a pattern. There are people who don't care about what they're talking about. They just want to talk about the hot button issue to strike while the iron's hot to get more ad revenue. Okay? And I would argue that if you don't know what you're going to talk about until you check one of those sources, or you look at your own subscription feed to see what everyone else is talking about, if you don't know what you're talking about and you're looking for something to talk about, that is the perfect time to shut the fuck up. Okay? Watch some stuff and get inspired and maybe make a video, yeah. But if you are seeking inspiration, specifically because you feel like you have this urge to daily make a YouTube video, because if you don't, your ad revenue might slide off a bit, and you're trying to maximize the ad revenue that you can pull out of a channel, you know, which is something that I've played around with on my channel. I know that if you upload 2 videos in one day, you'll roughly get the same amount of views as if you were to upload 1. They'll just be split amongst those 2 videos, and the same thing for 3 videos. And after that, it starts to decline. So uploading many videos in a day is not a way to increase your traffic, as well as trying to just talk about the trending topic of the day, the topic du jour. What often happens when I see that people start talking about a topic before it's really caught fire is that there'll be a few people talking about it that go really in depth. And then one of these news regurgitators, one of these trending topic trolls, they'll come along and they'll make a 3-minute video talking about it, not even going into depth about this topic. And then they will get 100,000 views, and the original person who made the better video gets 300 views. And that hurts. After a while, you see, wow, you know, it's not a real topic until Jaclyn Glenn talks about it, or The Amazing Atheist talks about it. And it does hurt. If you've been here on YouTube, on this channel, I've been here for 5 years. If you've been here as long as me, you've seen it happen before. And you spend some time trying to come up with an original video idea or you've been working on something, you're like, oh man, nobody else is talking about this. This is going to be so good. You know, people will enjoy this content. And then you see it lifted and somebody popularizing it, being a populist, I guess, and you see your own work just go ignored, and it hurts. It really does. I'll give you an example of, because we're on the topic of Jaclyn Glenn lately, an example of her being the Johnny-come-lately to a trending topic, but still taking the lion's share of it and not adding much to the issue except for injecting herself and paralleling her own experiences. That would be, I'll link in the description box to this. And this is not an example of plagiarism per se, just a few YouTubers, namely The Quiet Atheist and StefanieSpeaks. They were watching a show called What Would You Do? And it was about an atheist actor sitting at a table with a Christian family sitting at a table. And they saw this, and they decided to make videos about it. Now, it started to gain some heat, and they got a couple hundred views. Then all of a sudden, Jaclyn Glenn makes a video about it, and she, in the beginning of her video, rather than cite some inspiration about, you know, this was a trending topic on Yahoo, or this was on the atheism subreddit, you know, or anything like that. This was talked about on a couple blogs, like the Friendly Atheist blog, which is now calling her out. This was on Pathos. This was on Free Thought blog. Rather than talk about any of that and cite that, Jaclyn Glenn in her video says, well, I've been a fan of this show for a long time until this one part. Given what's come out lately about her plagiarism, I find it disingenuous, and I don't believe her. And this is going to probably be a trend with a lot of things that I'll see from her and others that get caught plagiarizing or just news regurgitating. I don't believe them when they talk about what their inspirations were, you know, or when they try to characterize how they got inspired. I don't believe them. You know, I believe they saw that something was going to take fire and they were striking while the iron was hot. That's the only reason why they ever make videos, is what do people want to watch? What are they talking about right now, and how can I co-opt it as ad revenue for my channel? Now, if you were to watch StefanieSpeaks' video, which was made 2 days before Jaclyn Glenn's, and The Quiet Atheists, I believe, came out before hers too, they covered the topic pretty well. The only thing that Jaclyn Glenn added really was her personal experience at VidCon, which really, you know, I guess she was contrasting her experience with those protesters because she wanted to do a callback to her previous video to make sure that she got that couple extra dollars off that last video. But really, it really didn't add much to it, you know. Again, not an example of plagiarism, because word for word comparison, completely different things being said. Maybe the same points, the same clip was being brought out, but I'll give her that it wasn't plagiarizing, but it is a thing where larger YouTubers seem to see, oh, this could be, you know, my lifestyle, this could be my paycheck if I just make videos with this formula. And that formula, it kills smaller channels. It really sucks the life out of everything that you're doing when you put a lot of work into it, and then you see that somebody can just come along and lightly talk about it in a radio-friendly edit length video, and then take all the thunder. And not credit you at all, because, you know, they don't have to. They're the larger channel, right? If anything, they're the ones popularizing it, not you, right? It kind of rips the you out of YouTube, and the larger channels get, the more behemoth they get, the more the smaller channels have a hard time growing. And this envy continues. I do recommend subscribing to StefanieSpeaks and watching the 3 or 4 videos that she's made, because it might give her a signal that, you know, maybe her voice is worth listening to too. I would say that it's probably worth listening to a lot more than Jaclyn Glenn. And when she does come out with content, it's going to have a lot more thought put into it than just, hey, there's a trending topic. Everybody wants to see my knee-jerk reaction to it too, because I'm a big channel, so I have to chime in. And trust that I'm not going to rehash any more Jaclyn Glenn drama unless I have something to add to it, like another instance of plagiarism, just to hammer it home that that's the wrong thing to do. But if we were to just talk about news regurgitation, that's a crime that's going on far too often, and it's become the norm. You know, I just got a shout out from Suvarenee, where she, in her video, she puts the caveat, well, sometimes he takes a long time, and sometimes he takes 20 minutes to talk about an issue, but when he finally gets there, his idea is solid. Well, guess what? There's a reason why I flesh things out, you know? And I appreciate that she gave me a shout out, but it came at a time where it just ripped a scab right off of me, you know? I'm like, no, you don't get it. I want to make a longer video, and I want to go in depth, and I don't want the people with short attention spans who don't understand to bother watching me. No, I'm here for the people who really want to discuss something. That's it. Links in the description box, and I'll be back tomorrow and the next day. You know it. You know I will. I at least will admit to having the addiction to YouTube, and that this bug bite's not going to go away anytime soon.